Wilbur had always been afraid of being different. He tried his best to fit in, but no matter what he did, he just couldn't seem to shake the feeling that he didn't belong. It wasn't until he met Templeton the rat that Wilbur learned the true meaning of friendship and acceptance. Together, they faced their fears and found the courage to be themselves. Wilbur was a small pig who lived on a farm with a large family. He was the smallest of the litter and the runt of the family, which made him feel like an outcast. Wilbur's brothers and sisters were bigger than him, and they would often push him around and make fun of him. This made Wilbur feel bad about himself, and he started to believe that he was worthless. One day, Wilbur's family was rounded up and taken to a nearby farm. Wilbur was so scared that he hid in a pile of hay. When the other pigs left, Wilbur was all alone. He was so scared that he started to cry. Just then, a wise old owl flew down from a tree and asked Wilbur why he was crying. Wilbur told the owl about how he was the runt of the family and how he didn't feel like he belonged. The owl listened patiently and then said, "You are not worthless, Wilbur. You are special in your own way." Wilbur didn't believe the owl, but he thanked her anyway and went back to hiding in the hay. Wilbur stayed in the hay for many days, eating only when he could find food. He was so hungry all the time that he started to lose weight. Wilbur was so weak that he could barely walk. One day, a friendly dog named Templeton came by to see if Wilbur was still there. Wilbur was too weak to talk, so Templeton brought him some food and water. After drinking the water and eating the food, Wilbur felt a little bit better. Templeton stayed with Wilbur for a few days, bringing him food and water, and eventually, Wilbur started to feel like he was getting better. Wilbur and Templeton became friends, and they talked about everything. Wilbur told Templeton about how he was the runt of his family, and how he didn't feel like he belonged. Templeton listened patiently and then said, "You are not worthless, Wilbur. You are special in your own way." Just like the owl had told him, Wilbur didn't believe Templeton, but he thanked him anyway. Every day, Templeton would bring Wilbur food and water, and they would talk for hours. Wilbur started to feel better about himself because Templeton was always there for him. One day, Wilbur and Templeton were talking and Wilbur said, "I wish I could do something special, like being a beacon." Templeton looked at Wilbur and said, "Why do you want to be a beacon?" Wilbur replied, "Because everyone would look up to me and admire me. I would be important." Templeton shook his head and said, "Being a beacon is not all it's cracked up to be. You have to be in a tall tower all alone, and everyone else is down below looking up at you. I don't think it's worth it." Wilbur thought about this and then said, "I guess I could be happy being a pig." From that day on, Wilbur decided to embrace his life as a pig. He stopped worrying about being a beacon and started enjoying his life on the farm. Wilbur was so happy that he made peace with his family and started to enjoy his life on the farm. He was still the runt of the litter, but he didn't care anymore. He was happy just being Wilbur. Years went by and Wilbur grew up into a strong and healthy pig. He had lots of friends on the farm and he was always happy to see them. One day, Wilbur was playing with his friends when suddenly he heard a loud noise. All the animals on the farm started to run and hide. Wilbur was so scared that he ran and hid in a barn. As the animals were running away, Wilbur saw a group of humans coming. The humans were carrying weapons, and they were looking for something. Wilbur was so scared that he tried to hide in a corner of the barn. Just then, one of the humans spotted Wilbur and shouted, "We found him." Wilbur was so scared that he closed his eyes tight and waited for the worst. But instead of hurting Wilbur, the humans started petting him and talking to him in a friendly way. Wilbur was so confused, but he couldn't help but enjoy the attention. One of the humans picked Wilbur up and carried him outside. The human looked at Wilbur and said, "You're the most adorable pig I've ever seen." "We have to take you home with us." Wilbur was so happy that someone wanted to be his friend. He oinked happily and licked the human's face. The humans took Wilbur home with them, and he quickly became part of their family. They gave him plenty of food and a comfortable place to sleep, and Wilbur loved being petted and cuddled. Wilbur was so happy in his new home that he forgot all about his worries and fears. One day, Wilbur was playing in the backyard when he saw a group of kids his age. Wilbur was so excited to make some new friends, so he ran over and introduced himself. The kids were initially friendly, and they invited Wilbur to play with them. But as the day went on, Wilbur started to notice that something was different. The kids weren't playing with him like they had been before. They were making fun of him and calling him names. Wilbur was so hurt and confused, but he didn't know why they were acting this way. Just then, one of the kids pointed at Wilbur's tail and laughed. Wilbur was so embarrassed that he ran and hid in his house. Wilbur was so upset that he wouldn't come out of his house for days. He was so sad that he stopped eating and drinking. Wilbur's human family was worried about him, so they stayed with him until he felt better. They told him that it wasn't his fault and that he shouldn't let the mean kids get to him. Wilbur thanked them for being so nice to him, but he was still sad. One day, Wilbur's human family decided to take him for a walk in the park. They hoped that being around other people would cheer Wilbur up. Wilbur was still sad, but he agreed to go. As they were walking through the park, Wilbur saw a group of kids playing. He wanted to join them, but he was too afraid. His human family stayed with him until Wilbur felt brave enough to approach the kids. When Wilbur got close enough, the kids stopped playing and stared at him. One of the kids pointed at Wilbur and said, "Look at the weird pig. He has a curly tail." The other kids laughed, and Wilbur felt tears welling up in his eyes. Just then, one of the kids ran up to Wilbur and gave him a big hug. The kid said, "Don't listen to them, Wilbur. You're awesome just the way you are." The other kids started to apologize to Wilbur, and he forgave them. The kids all became friends, and they played together for the rest of the day. Wilbur was so happy that he had found true friends who accepted him for who he was. From that day on, Wilbur never worried about being different again. He knew that being himself was what made him special. And that's the end of the story. So what did you think? Did you like this modern twist on the classic tale? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing stories. Until next time, happy reading!